So I do want to start with introducing Heleena, and this is a little bit of the introduction, thankfully, Natalia has given, and this is in her biography in her part of the book. Heleena is a women's rights activist and came to Colorado in early 2022 after Afghanistan's takeover by the Taliban. Heleena obtained a bachelor's degree in computer science from Herat University and a master's degree in international politics and area studies from India in 2018. She also obtained an executive master's in sports management organization from the MEMOS program in Switzerland in 2019. Heleena has held leadership positions with different government entities in Afghanistan. She started her own non-government organization, Third Thought Organization. She is also the founder of Afghanistan's first feminist publication, Riyadad. She is also the president of the Afghan Table Tennis Federation. So, Heleena, thank you so much for joining us today. I want you to, I want everyone to clap for her, but I think we did clap, but I really do want to show that Heleena has accomplished so much in her life, but there is so much more to her story than just her accomplishments, and giving her a chance to tell her story and to talk to us about some of the things that have led her to accomplish those things, but also have continued to motivate her to be the woman that she is today.
Thanks so much for having me. And it's my pleasure being here, and thank you so much for everyone to be in this room and put your time to listen to my story. Maybe together we all change the perspective and do better in this world. I will start sharing about my journey from the quote from the book which we have is, I'll start the quote that my father told me, Heleena Kakar. He told me, I have been witness of so many regimes and politics change in this country. You will make it back only if you stand tall and straight. I will share my journey from 15 August 2021. 15 August 2021 was just a normal day for me, like any other days during the weekday. It was early in the morning, I don't know, somehow I woke up early. And I have a cute picture of that day too. For some good reason, I had that picture. This is a view from my apartment in Kabul, Afghanistan. You can see the date is 15 August 2021, around some 6 a.m. in the morning. It was really a normal day for me. I was having a cup of my tea there. Suddenly, I received a call from one of my cousins, and she told me, Heleena, if you can avoid not to go to office today, as the situations in Kabul is not good. And I told her, no, I have to make it to the office because the responsibility of the State Ministry of Peace was relying on me. In those days, the general director, the ministers, the delegates, everyone from the ministry and also other ministries were already in Doha, Qatar, to have the peace talks with Taliban. So I just make it as a normal day, and I went to my office. Being in my office, it was around 10 a.m. that a colleague rushed and asked us to leave ministry and make it way back to home. And he said Taliban have entered to the city. For a few seconds and a minute it took us, I was freeze, and I couldn't believe what I heard. In front of my office, we have the ministry library where we had all books from different government entities, include the books from which the sources were, who the Taliban are, who fund the Taliban, and how the Taliban function actually. For a few seconds, I thought, let's grab these few books. Maybe I'll just read them to know more. And I took those books, but having the fears, anxiety, and stress and the trauma from my childhood regarding the Taliban, I couldn't carry those books. And the other team in the ministry, they were burning those books in the yard of the ministry. So I pulled out those books and put it on those fire. At the same time, we heard some gunshot And that was the guards of the ministry. When they heard Taliban enter to the Kabul, said they also got worried, and maybe they were trying to steal the money of the ministry. So those gunshots and fire added more in the anxiety and fears. And ministry from my place, it was just between 5 to 7 minutes distance. But that day it just took me 3 to 4 hours to reach to my home. Going back to home, I was a witness of seeing people who blocked the way. I saw the fear, the anxiety, the stress, the pressure in their faces. At that time, I was in the car.
Take your time.
Like in the car, I thought like, no matter what, wherever I have this opportunity, I will share this experience. Thank you. When I was a child, and even in my teenager, I was so fascinated by horror movies. I keep watching zombies and stuff. I said, like, wherever I have this opportunity, I will share this. Like, maybe you have seen zombies in movie. But that day I witnessed that. When I went home, like I was in complete denial. Like, no, this is not happening. And I started having my Netflix movie chills for complete 2 days. I was looking the city from my window, and I was like, no, this is not going to happen. There might be some political settlements back behind the scene, and everything will be good. I couldn't believe like all this 20 years investment from all over the world, globals, NATO, US, cannot just vanish in blank of eyes. The only thing which caught my eyes was my father behavior. I noticed like he was just going to see something from the bedroom window. The bedroom had a clear view to the one of the hill, we call it, that is Wazirak Barhan Hill in Kabul. And that hill, we had the largest and the biggest flag of Afghanistan, which was gifted from the Indian embassy to Afghanistan government. So the second day, I noticed my father that he was turning back and he wiped his tear. That was the view from the bedroom to have. And I got worried what he saw because I never saw my father do what? And when I went to saw that what he saw which made him to cry, I was witness that this flag was down to the earth. When I witnessed this view, that was an awakening. That was an awakening moment for me. Like, yes, this is happening, and this happened. I was just standing there for a few seconds. All my life went flashback. I was deeply in sorrow. And I was thinking about myself, what I was complaining about life before. Why I even complained being sad before. For so many little things that maybe compared to what I lost, my country, my identity, my achievements, is nothing. And I thought like, after this, if I make this, then nothing will break me down. At that moment, I also had flashback of my childhood. When I was child, the first time when Taliban captured Afghanistan, we were refugee, we went to Pakistan, we suffered a lot. My parents did a lot for us, and they started working to establish our life. We came back to Afghanistan in 2014, graduated from high schools, do my Bachelor for Computer Science from Herat University, and then, of course, obtaining my one master and the second master from International Olympic Solidarity, roaming around so many achievements, and working in a different government in a leading role as a research director for Ministry of Counter Narcotics, as advisor for Ministry of Urban Development Inland, and finally as a human rights and international foreign manager at the State Ministry for Peace. So with just blank of eye, I lost this all achievements. I saw like, okay, now I'm again nobody. I left with no identity. And here is again starting from the zero. After 2 days on it was on August 19, I grabbed my laptop and I started building connections. Because as you introduced, I had a nonprofit and a feminist publication. Through my those works, I was well connected with the international organization and other women activists. I started building communications with the established connections, and then I was in a process of receiving supports from them and also introducing others for the evacuation process. That was a moment where I felt for the first time being separated from the family, where I needed to go toward Mazar for an unplanned, unknown direction, and my family left to Pakistan. And there my journey started, that I spent 20 days in Mazar Sharif with the same clothes on, in a room with another 7 people, both male and female. After 20 days, we left Mazar to Qatar. 4th October 2021 was the first day that I arrived to Qatar. In Qatar, I started working as a volunteer with IOM to help other women, to help other refugees in the base in the camp. And that helped me actually to get integrated and come over to those situations. And apart from that also, I started joining so many online conferences, platforms to talk about the situation which is happening in Afghanistan. After spending 20 days, our flight landed to Philadelphia, and then from Philadelphia we went to New Jersey. In the New Jersey, I spent another 3 months, and in New Jersey camps, I started working with Madri as an Afghanistan consultant to support other women human rights defenders that they have left behind. And also I started doing volunteer with the military in the camp with different organizations. And being there in this camp, I also helped Afghanistan table tennis teams to participate in the World Championship in Qatar. And also, I was the only refugee in the camp where we had 25 other refugees got permit to leave the base for 3 days to go to Houston, Texas to attend annual general meeting of International Table Tennis Federation. During my presence in that meeting, we got some financial support for the team back in Afghanistan. And after that, it was January 31st that the plane landed in Colorado. I came here. For 20 days, I was hosted by an amazing family. They were supposed to be here today. They sent me a message, they got some emergency. I spent 20 days with them. And it was a great experience of receiving the love in the new community with a new community member. And through them, I met some other amazing people, which one of them are sitting here, Sarah. So nice, thank you so much. And I met few other nice new community member here who came, visit me, support me emotionally. But I cannot deny, like for 8 months, I was completely in shock and trauma, and I can say like I was in a depression and under the pills. But what helped me was when I joined African Community Center as a coordinator. And that was an awakening moment. At that time when I joined the African Community Center, I said, I had this experience being as a refugee, receiving so much love, and that's my now career, and that's what I should give back. Before back then in Afghanistan, I was a woman activist, being in a sport, working with maybe government, my career plan was totally different. But the moment I experienced the experience life of a refugee, then that became my career, and now I can proudly say that I'm also a refugee advocate too. And I'm here to give back for what I receive and support others who need. I can feel their pain. And definitely I became a member of Colorado Refugee Speaker Bureau. During the past 3 years, I spent so many great times with so many amazing new community members, which now I can call Colorado as a second home. I attended meetings, trying to support through African community centers, through Madre for Women, human rights activists back then in Afghanistan. And I'm sitting here, having gotten other networks, meeting so great, amazing people. I feel I might do better than what I had back then in Afghanistan. But no matter what, no matter where I'm standing, there is just only a question which is haunting me. Will I ever be witness of seeing the 3 flags waving back on the sky? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heleena, for sharing that. I think, there's never a point where those feelings may go away, and that's not the point of it.
Right.
That was your home, and it always will be your home, and no one can take that away from you. And so I think your efforts to always stay connected and to not let your experience be forgotten and the experience of so many people, like it's a loss and a trauma for so many people, and for you to still even be willing and able to speak this much about it genuinely takes so much courage. And so I do want to take a moment to recognize that, and that we're so grateful to have you here at ACC, but also just here as a person, because that is a blessing to have you and to have your story, and that story is still continuing. And so thank you so much for that. I think I've read your portion of the book, and something that really stood out to me at the beginning is there was a very consistent feeling of denial, especially before things really, like you had to leave. And you are constantly talking about like not believing what's happening in front of you. And so what really broke you out of that into accepting and maybe even moving on to the next step of like, what do I need to do?
Thank you so much for bringing this question. Definitely, I was in denial. If I wouldn't see my father's reaction, maybe this denial will continue, I don't know, maybe for weeks or months, or maybe still I would be still in Afghanistan. The reaction of my father and seeing the flag down on the ground was an awakening moment for me. I can recognize, or I can say like, anyone could do this to disrespect, but if you're able to see this, so you will understand like you actually your country have been fall apart. And that was an awakening moment for me. And no matter what, whenever I speak about this even like so many times, but wherever I come to this point, like, this is hope.
Yeah, I think it symbolizes the beginning of a whole new world, basically. So I understand why this is so difficult to see, especially right outside your window.
Right.
I think, when you moved through that denial, was there a hope Like even when you were accepting what was going on, how did you maintain hope? Or was that something you're coming to now? Or is there hope even now for you, how you feel about things?
Being as a human through all my life, the hope is the only existing thing in a human body, and especially in my life, which make me to continue toward future or toward taking another positive step. At that point, I was not in sense to consider what will be the hope, but I tried to do stuff which I could do to help others even at that time. The hope was at least to help others. At that process, like totally I forgot myself. While I was working with great other women activists, I was sharing some list, and one of them just called me and asked me like, are you sure your name is in some list? And at that time, like, no. And she told me, take care of yourself too. At that process of those days, I missed my 2 evacuation flights. But when I make it back to here, to Colorado, and just having these all resources and being in this new community, I have a hope, definitely, that I will be witness of being back to see the flag back waving on the sky, but also utilizing these resources and supporting other human beings. I think this is a hope which keeps me alive. Mm-hmm. And that's what I keep continue doing it.
So you spoke about, so obviously this is a book that you're in, and you speak about how when the Taliban was taking over, everyone was burning the books that were about the Taliban in fear of, any punishment or any consequences for even having those within the ministry. And you put down the books that you had as well. But now you are in a book that does actively talk against the Taliban. I know there was definitely fear in that moment, but now I feel that this is a signal of like you overcoming that fear. How do you feel now about being actively in a book that does speak up against what's going on?
I feel good about it, and I feel fortunate that I make it out from Afghanistan. Definitely at that time, like as I mentioned, I had a trauma, and I already had the experience of being a refugee back then. At early time when Taliban came, and for whatever procedure they had, the fear about them, so I couldn't dare to have those books. But apart from that, being a woman from Afghanistan who have been witness of this all, and now living in a country of free speech, and I feel responsible to do the advocacy back then for my people and for my country. So I should be the voice of my people, and I should speak for my people and for my country. And I have this opportunity, I definitely will do, and I appreciate for that. And this is the only thing which keeps me also alive, that somehow I'm contributing back then. Being away from Afghanistan, and still I'm working for Afghanistan.
So in speaking about the book, so the name of the book is Arrows of Light, and it's a compilation of different women stories, different Afghan women stories. So what does that title mean to you, Arrows of Light?
Great question. Well, first, the editor reached out and shared about this. It perfectly matched my situation, because I came from a darkness in a new community, and I was in search of light. So this title, this book exactly met for my goal, and it's clearly defined my situation. And that's why I'm part of it. And this Arrows of Light is not just only a story of me, but a story of other amazing women from Afghanistan, which show how strong and resilient are Afghan women.
I like that it's arrows, because I think it shows that you guys are so strong and like so straightforward in what you want, and like that is to bring back light for other women, but also for everyone. And like even just reading some of the other stories too, even though they're so different, they all resonate with the same like core message that, you know, your voice matters and that your story matters, and you deserve to be able to speak and say, you know, your experience. Because the world needs to know what happened, and the world needs to know all the different places and all the different people that impacted. I think, so today, this event was put in place in honor of World Refugee Day, which is this Friday. And so the idea of being a refugee is defined as someone who has forced to flee his or her country because of fear or persecution, war or violence. And you know, people have very different feelings about the idea of being a refugee. You know, like I'm considered a refugee even though I came here when I was like 5 years old, and you're a refugee, and there's so many other refugees in this room too, but our stories all end up being quite different. What is it, how does it feel to you to be a refugee and to speak up for refugees now?
As I experience, if you had these questions back then when I was in Afghanistan, maybe I would hesitate to talk about it because I never had the experience. But now, since I have this experience in being through this all paths, and now I deeply are connected and I know how it feels, I can say I'm a proud refugee. And I just want to share this, like, no matter what, being a refugee or immigrant is not a choice. It's a force that a person will take to have this label. And also we should understand that these refugee and immigrants in new society, wherever they are an asset. They come with a lot of experience, and they can contribute in the new society in a way more positive way.
And we see your positive contribution. The ACC is very happy to have you, and the whole community is very happy to have you. And in the last page of your book, you write something that I still think about. I don't know if you want to read that last. Do you want me to read it?
Oh, you can.
Okay. So the last paragraph is, I believe my hard work will pay off, and I will achieve more than what I had back in Afghanistan. But still, some unanswered questions haunt me all the time. Will I ever experience life with my whole family back in one home? Will I ever see the 3 colored flags of Afghanistan wave again? Will I see my country back civilized? I think it's very intentional to end the book, or your part, with questions. How do you feel about that? Are those questions still lingering in your mind?
Thank you so much for bringing these questions, because somehow when I was talking about my story, I think I skipped one of the questions. This book was published 2 years ago. And that book, in this book specifically, I mentioned about my siblings who are located to where. And this book, one of the questions is that, will I ever experience being back with my family? Because at that time when I was contributing to this book, my elder brother with family living in Germany, my second elder brother, he was here. And then my sister, she was in Sweden. My another brother, he was evacuated to Portugal. And my youngest sister, she was in India. And my parents left behind in Afghanistan. So that was the question. So partially, I'm so positive and I'm happy. I'm happy to introduce my family. Mohib, my elder brother, is sitting here with me. Yeah, my sister from Sweden, Lisa, and my brother from Portugal, Atiq, Salma, my youngest sister, and my sister-in-law, Sahar, my beautiful and lovely niece, Eileen. And I'm happy to say my elder brother family will join me next month, July. Just only part of my parents are still there, left behind in Afghanistan, and I'm hoping to have them here. So yeah.
Sorry. I don't mean to cry too. Yeah, I'm so happy that they're all together.
So if I have been experienced this, now my hope is way more positive that one day I will just see back my flag too.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy that you and your family are they're able to join you here today, and I hope your parents are also able to join you all one day.
Hopefully.
And so I think, you know, it's so impactful that you ended with questions, because, you know, the story is not complete, it's not ended, and it won't be. And you reflect that, you know, there's still hope, but there's also still so many questions for what's going on. And I think, having that doubt, but still being able to keep doing your part and to fight the fight is so hard. But I think it's genuinely what resilience is about, is being like, I don't know what the future is going to hold, but I'm still going to do my part to give myself hope and then also others. And we see that, the community you've built, the people that you've inspired, all get hope from you. So thank you so much for that.
I really appreciate that.
And I do want to open it up for any questions if anyone would like to ask anything.
Does anybody have any questions? I have a question to start. Can you talk a little bit about your, how did you get into sports? You mentioned table tennis. I'm very curious about that.
Sure. When I returned back to Afghanistan and in my high school, so we had a table, a very old table, laying out at my school. We even didn't know at that point like how to play, what's the rule and stuff. So we started playing with that, and then our sport teacher encouraged us more toward to this sport. So I started falling in love with this sport and some additional activity inside the school. And then I started playing. And then I became a national player of table tennis back then in Afghanistan. But when I started going to my university, I left. After my graduation from university, joining ministry and having my career, then the federation reached out to me, asked to contribute with them as a volunteer. And then I've been appointed as a Secretary General of Afghanistan Table Tennis Federation. Through this field, I attend so many meetings outside of Afghanistan. And luckily, after all those achievements that I had, I also got scholarship from International Olympic Committee, where I pursued my second master, an executive master in sport management, which was hybrid in different Europe countries. And my thesis based on the sport was to integrate childs, especially girls, and the community through sports. So having this all achievement, then I was elected as the president of Afghanistan Table Tennis Federation in 2020. And after 2021, I'm here. Still I am until we have a good election. Still I work with them. Still I'm in contact with all my players back then in Afghanistan, with International Table Tennis Federation, with Asia Table Tennis Federation. And thank you so much for bringing up these questions, because before falling Afghanistan under the Taliban on August 2021, I had my Qatar visa. I was nominated to become Secretary General of Table Tennis, Asia Table Tennis Federation. So we had election on October. But at that process, yeah, Afghanistan was already fallen. Like I was in Qatar, but then I come, not in that meeting.
Other question?
شهیدات من فارسی صحبت میکنم، هم از افغانستان هستم. تجربه نخورم دارم. I just I want to talk in Persian.
Okay, yes.
Because I can't speak in English.
Do interpretation, I think. Yeah.
Then I
Okay.
من کتاب که شما خودتان من نخوندید، معلومات هم ندارم. میخواستم سوال کنم که در دوره قانون‌هایی که در افغانستان فعلا کدام نظری خاص دادی و ندادی؟ تقریبا میخواستم سوال کنم. Just my question was about the nowadays in Afghanistan, women and girls. You have any idea about that? You have any mentioning in the book? No, just like asking. I was engineer in Afghanistan. We know all the things about engineer. In Afghanistan, they have a lot of problems with different. You have a lot of problems with the government. You have a lot of problems with Taliban. If they are knowing me, like they are engineer, they are direct killed. Yeah. I have my experience when I was in Shindon of Iraq. I lived around 2 months in the Shindon. I can't come in the city of Iraq. I can't. At that time, my birth is become longer than maybe 20 something. My clothes are also very bad. When I come from that camps in the city, I sleep in the car. When I wake up from in the car, I see the Taliban is found with the car. I think they all didn't know me, but unfortunately at that time they are asking the engineer, you come down. I have some question about you. I said I'm like young engineer, not from the government, not from the US. It's I say lie because I work direct in the camp. They all know me. They all have a lot of workers inside the camp. Then they all said you come down. When I come down, and that time I don't know what happened. The troops, the Afghan troops, and the army troops is coming in the street. They all escaped from the car. I was in there. Then, because the company said you come back from here, I said I will never come again because this is very bad situation. It is my first time. When I was in the safe room, because in the 2021 I worked with US Embassy inside Afghanistan. I have a mission in the Herat. In the last day, in the 14 August, I have mission in Herat. When I come back from Herat in the Kabul airport, and that time the Kabul airport was very bad situation, and the US embassy, my manager called me, do not come in the embassy, go direct in the home. When I said, it's okay. I go in the home. When I go in the home, my family, my father, my mother, they all say very bad situation. In the way I see that a lot of troops of Afghanistan leave the border, leave all the cities, and come inside the city of Kabul. And that time, my mind is very situation because I see every time we are making the camps like any piece of Afghanistan, like camp of Herat, Shindon, Kandahar, and making Nangarhar, in different provinces. I work around 16 years in all the provinces of Afghanistan with different companies. In 2020 and up to 2022, I joined with US Embassy. I work with the president of Afghanistan. I see all the Taliban in there. They are knowing me. They are knowing me. He is an engineer. When the government is collapsed, and that time I was 2 years inside the Kabul chain. 6 days they are catching. They are catching me. They are asking too many because they all have a lot of my documents. They are get my mobile. They are get my laptops. It was belong to US because I'm not sending that laptop inside the embassy because of my manager would say, do not come inside that embassy. Then they are saying for us, you come in the Kabul airport. Because of the security, I can't come in. It was really difficult. And one day I walked in the street, and you know the street, between Terminal and Wadi Akbar Khan. I walk in this street. one of the Taliban catch me, I knew you. I see you in the Iraq prison. Because I was engineer, I mistake all the things inside that prison. And then he catch me, and from my back, I stay around the 2 hours, and then I continue. He search me a lot of them. Then one of the other Taliban said, it's okay, shoot it. I acted. Because of that, I sent too many emails for my embassy to come out from Afghanistan. This is my stories also. I have a lot of information, but unfortunately my English language is not allowed me to speak more.
And thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing this story. So, did you get the question?
Yes, I got
okay.
it. First of all, thank you so much for sharing your story. And that's the point that we talk about. Every refugee here comes with a lot of experience and story to share. And that's all the choice that they've made, but it's the force that have been enforced to them. And I am lucky to sitting here to share my stories, but there are thousands of unspoken refugees that their stories need to be heard. According to your questions, talking about Afghan women, definitely. This book is actually representing the situation of Afghan women, which have 22 stories of different women, which reflect their stories. And according to my biography, with Iftu just mentioned, back then in Afghanistan, I was definitely a woman activist, and I was working towards the women through my non-profit third organization, and also through my weekly, feminist weekly, which was Reader. After the collapse, and there was the third part of the questions, will I ever see my country civilized? Seeing back my 3 flag back then waving in the sky and seeing my country civilized is actually reflecting the situation of Afghan women back in Afghanistan, where currently they are in imprisonment in their homes. They are not allowed to go to schools, they are not allowed to work, they are not allowed to step out of their home, they are not allowed even to breathe. So having my back, the 3-color flag waving back in the sky and seeing civilized, it means all those women back then in Afghanistan will have their basic rights. And that's what I'm hoping for and I'm working toward. No matter if I'm here, but still if I'm here being their voice, it means I'm working for them and they're part of me.
Hi, Heleena. First of all, I want to thank you for sitting here and sharing your story. It is so hard. I'm also from Afghanistan, and I left Afghanistan almost the same day as you did. So I really know how hard it is to talk about it. So it requires a lot of courage to sit there and share this story. So I appreciate that. And my question for you is, looking back, what you have been through, and how all those experiences have shaped your identity, your values, and the way you show up in the workplace.
Thanks so much. First of all, thanks so much for supporting being here and keep listening to my voices. Definitely we all from Afghanistan have similar stories, but with different experience. As I share my experience back then in Afghanistan through all my achievements and experience for whatever I was doing, that is not unrecognized in this new community. Those all experiences and knowledge actually made me to be with a great team of African community centers. Without those knowledge, I would never make it to be here and not even close enough to sit here to talk about my life. And those experiences only made me to join Madri to do some sort of support where they want to channel UN Women Fund back then in Afghanistan. So when we just want to touch base on one of the experience. When I came here, like I always thought about that I lost my identity, I lost everything, and I'm starting from zero, I'm nobody here. Just only during this conversation with one of my friends, actually, he told me that you might lose the country, you might be out of the country, but you came with a lot of experience. Actually, you have not you have not lost those experience. Through those experience, you have gaining a lot more. And this is a great opportunity for you to utilize them and support back then in Afghanistan. Perhaps in future, if you somehow will go back, we will go with a lot of more other experience and with bunch of resources to contribute even more.
Okay, hi Heleena. Will you talk a little bit more about your nonprofit?
Sure. So when the nonprofit actually started from my experience moving from Kabul to Herat, for my computer science bachelor's degree. At that time I was so young, and I think I was the only female from my family to travel a lot to a different province of Afghanistan. And Herat have totally a different culture, similar, more close to Iran border, so a little bit more conservative. Because when I went there, I faced a lot of struggles and challenges, and there I found my voice. And that voice actually led back to my mother, where she was the leader of our home, and she had this equal opportunity back then between our siblings and home. So, and in Herat, I exercised those experiences. I start talking about my voices, I start talking what's good, what's bad for me, and the more I start talking in that community and being in a university, more women in my age in that university came to discuss their issue with me, and they wanted me to talk their issues in the different entity. And when I came back to Kabul after graduations in 2011, and that was like, let's start this, let's not be only voices of a small group, let's be voice of different groups. And I had this experience, and I noticed there's a lot of women that their voice is not heard, or even due to so many obstacles they cannot talk about. So it was then I started with a few friends to have this publication, Reader Publications, which is a feminist movement. And also through that publication, we want to encourage women to talk about their rights, to be participants in the society, and do those all works. But then we wanted to legalize this work in Afghanistan. Because of the symbol of feminists, the government did not accept us, and they rejected. So that movement never got a legal entity. Then we came up with a medium way of, okay, let's have a nonprofit. That was the reason that we come toward the nonprofit to register the third organization in 2013. Then we start working. Even before working to our nonprofit and this feminist movement, I was into community. I was talking about so many different issues, and I didn't know. Few people just past this comment, oh, are you a feminist? Are you a feminist? At that time, I didn't know what this feminist means. So then I just went and read about it. Okay, feminist means to talk about your right, to support other women, to support your community. So yes, I'm a proud feminist too. And then it just led me to the magazine, and then it led me toward my nonprofit. And through my nonprofit, I worked with U.S. Embassy back then, with UK Embassy, with Indian Embassy, and we established a great group back then in Afghanistan. So since then we started that. Apart from that, I was officially with the government. Thank you.
Testing. Hello?
Okay.
Heleena, thank you for sharing your story. Very courageous, and obviously still very emotional story that you shared. And with so much being said about refugee resettlement and immigration in this country in recent months, I think you have shown in your own life how refugee resettlement and immigration is indeed in the best interest of this country. My question to you is this. you've had now the experience of being a refugee in the U.S. What can you share with us, your new neighbors? What are things that we can do to best welcome you, empower you, and just to help you along this journey that you're on? What are things that have been important to you that you can share with us that we can do for others?
Thank you so much, Ron, for bringing up these questions. I think I need to take a pause to think about it. Because I'm so grateful for whatever the refugee resettlement agency have done for refugees. And I'm one of them in witness. I receive all the supports, not only financially, but also emotionally. My voice have been heard. They recognize my emotions. They recognize my skills, my talent. Provide me the platform where I can share my voices. Provide me opportunity to build more networks. Provide me the opportunity to find my career, my path. And I'm so grateful to that. And this was not going to happen without support of the Refugee Resettlement Agency, especially African Community Center. Because I joined African Community Center as a coordinator, but only the way that they allow and the way they recognize their skills, their talent, that's why I become integration program manager. If we will continue doing this, I'm sure we are not only helping refugees, but also we are helping the American community members to recognize the refugees. And that will be, actually, resettlement agency is a bridge between the American community and the refugees. And all the support that we provide is building a new home for refugees and also a peace of mind and secure for the American community too. If we'll continue this, I hope nothing will change, and this is why we are here after this all changes. We are talking about to do this advocacy, especially we need it more than before, to do the advocacy, to stand all together, to work together for this great cause, that this should continue. And we should have this refugee and provide the opportunity for them where they can contribute in a greater way for this new community. And both ways will be a win-win situation. Thank you.
Test.
Heleena, we'll see if we could make use of this. So many of us in this country and elsewhere really only get information about Afghanistan on the news media. That's all we get. Can you tell us a little bit more that you think people really should know? Afghanistan is so much more than what we see on the news. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Thank you so much for having these questions. Yes, whatever is happening in the ground in Afghanistan is not reflected in the media. Whatever you hear, that's only 1% of the situations of inside Afghanistan. I can say all the men in Afghanistan is a slave of unpaid by the Taliban. It's not, I'm sitting here, I'm not saying like only the women are suffering, but also men are suffering. All the women are in home imprisonment. There is daily women who've been arrested by the Taliban, have been raped in the prison and been killed and put their dead body in the street. That have not been reflected. So many things inside Afghanistan are happening. People are selling their kids for the poverty for survival of their other members. They are doing forced marriage of the kids just only to get money for their survival. And Taliban are attacking the homes and forcing them and torturing them mentally, both for male and the females. We can see regarding their way of the politics, how they are deniable of the international community and their laws. I feel like whoever right now are living in Afghanistan is the bravest people I can label them in this entire world, because no matter, even if you're sitting in your home, you are not free, you are not in peace. You are going mentally through all this process and all those tensions. So media definitely is not reflecting that. It's not only the people that back then in Afghanistan, but also with the people that they flew to the Pakistan, in Iran, legally, illegally. They are also suffering with this political and political interference or through Pakistan and also through Iran. So at this point that I'm sitting here, I can assure you that there is no family inside Afghanistan that they have a smile of peace in their life. Everyone individual, regardless of their gender, regardless of their age, they are suffering. And they are fighting for their basic right, and they are fighting actually for their survival. They are fighting to have a food on the table, one-time food at the table at their home.
Any more questions? Should we, before we wrap it up? Oh, there's one.
Test. Thank you so much. As be your sister, family member, still I have a question, and here is the place I can tell you. So my question was like, there are lots of people, because we have experienced these collapse in Afghanistan like years ago. So there's also, we have a refugee in another countries, and also people had a dream to be in another country. Like not all of the people, but most of the people have, like there's a dream for them to be in abroad or live there, because they might know that they have a good future in there. So my question was like, you, before the Taliban like take over all the Afghanistan, you went lots of the countries, like you visited the lots of the Europe countries. So why you didn't decide this to be there and start your career over there? So now I can recognize why the people, when they go out abroad and they didn't come back to our own country, because they might know this will happen again and we don't have a good future in Afghanistan. So once they will go, they never come back. But you went, like, visit a lot of time, but you came back. So why you didn't, like, start your career over there and you come again Afghanistan? So you didn't think about this, that it will happen again to your country?
Not really. I still remember my first visit to, I visited definitely so many regional countries, and the first time when I visited Europe, I had so many things like, don't come. Still at that time, situations back then in previous government, it was not stable. Still there was so many instability all over the country. But my hope, still I'm sitting here, I have hope for a better future for Afghanistan, and I'm working toward it. At that time too, I was, no matter where I am, I still go back to Afghanistan, and I will implement all this experience and knowledge in my country, where I can contribute a small portion of my society, maybe a small stable change. So that was my hope, and still it is my hope. One day I'll go back, and with all those great resources and network, and I will contribute back in my country. Yeah, I never had this in my mind.
I think we might be able to take one more question, but that should be it. Yeah.
Test. My family volunteers with an Afghani family through ACC, and I just had a question on how to best serve them. Mom and dad are in like late 20s, early 30s, but never went to school, so they are pre-literate in both Dari as well as not reading or writing in English. And then their children, 2 were born here, and the other 3 are like 6, 8, and 10. So there's a lot of pressure on the children to do a lot of the translation. And I would just love to hear your perspective of like the children have undergone trauma as well, and they are at a very young age to be the primary translators for their family who has a lot of financial struggles and all that. So like what can I do? And I've got 3 kids of my own, like what can we do to try to just bring some light to them as well as some tangible service to them?
First of all, thank you so much for your time and support toward those families. They desperately need that. As I be the one who come with understand and speak English and traveled and experienced, still I needed this kindness from the community which I receive and make me to stand here. And they are ACC clients. I can say like ACC have a great services for the interpretations, employment, introducing the child to the schools, and also sharing other resources for the parents to learn English. And also within the ACC, we have a great programs, like one of them is here, we made this program for the especially women to come out of their home, to network, to build network, make new friends, and find way to different other resources. And apart from that, your time, your love toward them, and your patience, and your stability with them for a period of time that they stand in the new community is really important, and that will help. And apart from that, since the parents cannot communicate, if we teach them how to use the new technologies and how to be self-sufficient. And as support, sometimes we give a lot of support directly, we will do things for them, but instead if we do, we will teach them the way how to get it done. Perhaps we also have to, Amber, we made this program, the woman that they cannot speak English, we actually teach them how to use Google Translator. We actually teach them, if we can just have some small time with them to teach them how to use self-learning method, how to use Google, how to communicate with the children, because the environment back then in Afghanistan and here is completely different. And especially this family who flew and come here, they go to a culture shock, no matter of the age. So how we will integrate them step by step by just teaching them to do the things by themselves, and we should be a supportive beside them. That will really help them. And they will also learn how to be self-independent of doing their things in this new community. Thank you.
Okay, and then I do want to add to that question, just because I was the kid in my family that would like help translate and like the documents, especially when we were like younger. I think people overestimate how quick that transition is. Like my family's been here more than 20 years, and there's still like a gap between knowledge, between cultures, and everything. And so, trying to like get them to understand that, you know, ideally, 6 months you're fully integrated and you understand everything, but it takes a lot longer. And there's a lot of every year is learning something new. Every time is like a new lesson or a new skill. And so I don't know how you really get that message across of like, be patient with yourself. It's okay to not know, and it's okay to ask. And yeah, like, everyone's always going to have something new to learn. And that sometimes that's the difference between just like everyone's just growing, and it's not necessarily an issue of the cultural difference. It might just be an age difference. It might just be the technology, no matter if it was in their language, would have been difficult for them. So trying to like get them to understand that it's not that they're doing something wrong, that they are just experiencing a different struggle, but that they're okay to experience that. Yeah. So I do want to say thank you guys for all your amazing questions. And thank you, Heleena, always. And we do have a raffle that we wanted to do, and I wanted to give Heleena the opportunity to pull some of these to see. Does everyone have their?
Yep.
Yeah.
Does everybody have a ticket? Okay. That's exciting.
No, we have someone.
Okay, I can quickly.
Yeah. You want to do any?
Okay, how many people do you want?
Oh, well, I think I'll do that. How many books do you have? I think it's this one is not for me.
I have a teacher voice, so I think I can do it without the
Yeah,
microphone.
great.
How do we get the book? How do we get the book if we don't? Is it through Google?
It is available in Amazon.
Amazon, thank you.
Okay. How many? We're doing 6 copies?
6 copies,
Okay,
yeah.
so the odds are pretty good for y'all. Oh, you want me to? Okay. So 3053064. Okay. Woo! We have a winner.
Thank
If
you
you
so
stick
much.
around, Heleena will be able to sign it for you.
Right. This is new. I didn't know that. 3053059. This side is maybe move to this side.
But I'll get more than one copy.
Nice, nice. Thank you. Let's see. 3053052. Oh! Perfect. Okay, 3 more. 3053057. Nice. Thank you. 2 more.
2 more?
Yeah. 3053076.
Oh, you're lucky. Thank you. Sure.
Final one.
Final one.
3053063. This is a winning streak, guys.
Thanks so much for being here.
I think she wants to do a favor for
I'll give
Shani.
you one at home, okay?
Perfect. Do you have any final closing thoughts?
Thank you so much for everyone being here. I really appreciate your time and listening to my story. I just request for the community to become more stronger where we needed more in this critical situations. And here is not only that we support the refugee, but it's a footstep that we are lifting behind how we teach this refugee to contribute in our community. So what we give, we receive back this in this community. So let's keep doing this good, amazing work together. We are all together in the same boat. Thank you.